viewers, welcome to my podcast. I am Dr. Elizabethvarsha. Today's topic is how to win or how to acquire a grant research proposal. So, for this, the first and foremost, you need to have a strategic mindset that is exploring the thinking about the feasibility, the novelty of the research. So, basically, you have to know whether your research proposal is aligning to the new standards and the technological changes or to the new uh, upcoming news or the events that is happening in the real world. So point number one is you need to have a strategic mindset. Two, that is the phase one. First is you need to have a pre-writing strategy. You need to know which agency or which board you're applying to. So for example, there are different boards, various boards. One is DST, that is Department of Science and Technology. You have ICCR, Social Sciences. You have Fulbright, and you have DAR, that's focused on in the countries such as Germany. So basically, you need to know which agency you are actually writing for. So accordingly, your research proposal has to be aligned. Number three is what will you write in the proposal? That is the elements of the proposal. So any proposal, first and foremost, you need to have a good title. So for example, my research proposal or anything that I would think of, mine is more to do with industrial economics. My area of expertise is industrial economics. So if I'm concentrating in particular sector as such as construction industry, so I need to think about if I'm taking a topic such as migrant workers, you have to think what will be the title of your proposal. So it could be the health and safety of migrant workers in the construction industry. So the title has to be really catchy and new. And the second one is statement, problem, and research gap. You need to explain the research gap perfectly. So when I say perfectly, how do you do a research gap? How do you identify a research gap? You need to do and write. That is basically you have to read an extensive various articles in journals and in books prescribed by the biggest authors. So when I say papers, where do you read it? Where do you read it? Give me an answer. So you can go through Web of Science, you can go through EBSCO, you can go through Google Scholar, which will give you an extensive literature review. That is called as literature review because you will be able to identify or read papers. So in a day, at least you need to spend some 10 papers to write, understand what exactly your topic is aligning to. So basically, you have, in my research study, would have used almost 150 to 200 research articles, maybe papers I would have read. So basically on that, you read it and then you identify the research gaps, which is very relevant to your study. So that is what number two is, basically statement of problem and the research gap. Number C, that is in the, as I told you, the structure of the research proposal. The main element is methodology. You need to be very clear of what your methodology is, whether it's quantitative or qualitative or mixed research methods, and why. Always give the question as to why. Why are you doing qualitative research? Why are you doing quantitative? Why did you go for a mixed research? Why did you go for a methodological, it's called methodological triangulation. Why are you thinking of it? So basically you need to know why you're going to have a certain methodology. Okay, so that is what. So you have to break down all your activities properly and then give you the correct methodology. So number four is basically you're explaining the cost and the financial institution. So you need to give a breakdown of your cost. So this particular cost, I would use it for this particular equipment, or I would use for manpower, or I would use for research work, or I would use for collecting the data. So you have to explain it very well. What will be your budget? What are your financial constraints? And what is the timeline for the proposed budget? The timeline of the proposed budget is very, very important. The next one would be, as I said, there are Indian agencies, there are international agencies where you actually write a research proposal. So when I say Indian agencies, I did explain it to you, DST, ICSSR and so on. And international agencies, I told you Fulbright, which is an US based scholarship, a US based research funding agency, and we have even the DAD. So these collaborative agencies, or the collaboration of your work with the agency, make sure you have a smooth and ensure the transparency of your research proposal with with perfect deadlines and the cost and the financial constraints which is mentioned in the proposal. Okay, which is very important is because you should never have a vague objective. Your objectives has to be precise and clear to the point, and sometimes unrealistic timelines. For example, I'm trying to understand consumer behavior about electric vehicles. So my target size, whatever it is, it should be feasible, economical, and the size limited should be that I can approach to. For example, I cannot say that I would like to meet consumers for almost like 5,000 or 6,000 consumers, which seems to be a little unrealistic, right? So always keep realistic timelines, realistic sample size. So be very, very sure of what you are mentioning as a sample size. Next is very important is don't ever have a weak methodology, because you have to be, as I stated earlier, methodology speaks. That is one thing which you should always consider, because it's something where a supervisor or an agency or the board would look into it minute with all the details, especially the coding, which software that you're trying to use, and why you're using, say, factor analysis, or why are you using econometrics, or why are you using data science toolings and things like that. So you need to be very, very clear about your methodology. So and especially as I told you, the timelines and the cost that you have been mentioned also, you should be very clear. So I hope this video was useful. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.